Let's get the latest from Kenya now. We're joined by Voice of America correspondent Vincent Makori. Vincent, a very good evening to you. Thank you for making time. So Raila Odinga, if I'm right, is relying basically on the view of these 4 out of 7 commissioners who said yesterday they could not endorse this result. They said that the process had been opaque, which means what exactly as far as irregularity?
Well, actually, the Odinga side had been raising concerns way before the actual day when the declaration was made, and on the day that actually those commissioners disavowed those results. He and his team had been raising some concerns regarding things that they thought were not happening in a more open way at the tallying center. So the commissioners actually storming out of the tallying center and disowning those results was kind of a culmination of their own position earlier. So what happens is that they used, I think in today's statements, they used the resignation, or rather the position of those commissioners to reinforce their argument, to reinforce their case, because they had been making that case even 2 days before.
And even yesterday, of course, outside the electoral center, one of Raila Odinga's aides had alleged that there'd been a hack of some kind of the system. Has there been any further information, any evidence perhaps, to prove that that's indeed happened?
Well, so far we don't have any firm evidence. We know, though, that the Odinga side said they have evidence that they're going to present it. And, of course, you can imagine they'll hold that so close to their chests until the right time. But when it comes to the commissioners, when they talked about the process being opaque, they made a kind of an explanation. They said the chairman, Mr. Chebukati, was not involving them really in a kind of the final tally. When they did the final tally, they're supposed to have come back and sat down together. The chairman, along with the 7 commissioners, looked at the numbers and the documents, corroborated everything, and then agreed and signed off to those numbers before he makes the announcement. But then they claim that he never involved them, but he just came up out from the boardroom and told them, I have the final results and I'm going to announce this. In fact, those commissioners said they raised the issues and they said, don't worry about that. I'll handle it.
And if the election outcome is declared null and void by a court, as Odinga's side now says it wants to see happen, are we clear on what that would mean? Would it mean a recount or an entire rerun of the election?
It's a rerun, and that rerun has to happen within 60 days. Well, now, again, before maybe I get ahead of myself, it depends on what kind of ruling the court will make. If the court decides that there has to be a recount, which I don't know if it's provided for the presidential race, because technically, if it is considered to have had serious errors, it will be nullified. It will be completely annulled, in which case there has to be a new election within 60 days, just as happened in 2017. Kind of a repeat of something that we've seen before.
And when that happened in 2017, when those election results were overturned, there was violence in Kenya. The number that's officially been reported on is that 100 people roundabout were killed in those days of fighting. Yeah. How much anxiety is there in the country, especially among the citizens, that there may be a repeat of 2017?
There's a degree of anxiety, but it's believed that most citizens have no appetite to engage in violence. And Mr. Odinga himself has called on his supporters to be patient, to maintain calm and peace, and just wait for him to take whatever legal measures that he has to take, and use all the constitutional rights that he enjoys to take this to a logical conclusion. So it is believed that as long as he appeals for calm amongst his people, his supporters, the chances are that there won't be any form of violence.
And Odinga supporters did protest yesterday in the stronghold of Kisumu today. Kisumu, I beg your pardon. Today it appeared more quiet. Shops had been closed because some of the business people weren't too sure about which direction the situation would take. What's the latest from there?
Yes, the violence you saw was just an immediate reaction to the announcement, because psychologically they had been prepared to celebrate Mr. Odinga's victory. And so when they heard what happened and they saw the chaos at the tallying center, because there was a scuffle there, a serious one, just before the announcement, of course they reacted. That was a kind of an emotional reaction. But later on, things cooled down. Today, every part of the country was cool, quiet, and waiting. I went to one of the townships here, which is a stronghold of Mr. Raila Odinga, and I spoke to the people there. They said, we will stay calm and wait for Mr. Odinga to tell us what to do. His supporters generally follow his lead. So if he tells them maintain peace, maintain calm, you can be assured that there will be peace and quiet.
Vincent Makori, correspondent with Voice of America. Thank you so much for that update, Vincent.